Hello and welcome, dear students. How are you all? I'm your teacher Vineet Singh, and I'll be taking your botany part from here after. So, hello everyone. How are you? Hello Shillong Center. Dear students, how are you? Okay. So, centers, please report your attendance and we'll begin right away. Okay. So, I can see Shillong students are there. Okay, great. So, dear students, I believe a lot of topics that have been covered up till now, according to your NCERT, I believe cell chapter has been covered, and thereafter, Meenakshi ma'am has been taking the zoology part, the human systems. Okay. So, but I will be starting from the very beginning of your NCERT syllabus. I will be starting from the beginning, I mean the living world. Thereafter, I will carry on with the biological classification. Then I will continue with the 5 kingdoms, the plant kingdom, the morphology, anatomy. Then I will move on to cell, whatever things have been left out, I will cover that. Okay. So, I'm not exactly sure that cell has been covered in full and I think you need some more information on that. So, I have always been according to the NCERT syllabus. So, we'll move according to that. Dear students, I gave you my short introduction of mine. I'll tell you more about me. I'm a student of Banaras Hindu University, and I have done my B.Pharm from IIT BHU. I have done my graduation from there, so I had a lot of subjects like which included biology, chemistry, even physics, mathematics in some statistical portions. So even I had computer science. So whether or not I know something related to these subjects, you will know soon after. But because of these subjects, I had a fair share of grooming in basically all the fields of science. Because my university is a central university and it's a huge campus. I used to take a morning walk around this campus. It's a jogging or a run. So it took me about half an hour. So it's a 6-kilometer walk just to take a round of the campus. So it's, you can understand how big the university was. So it's a 6-kilometer run. Okay. And because in this university I had a lot of disciplines, so I was exposed to a variety of disciplines, and so I can better guide you, I believe, whenever you want to make a career choice. All right. So I will be happy to help you with this. And so I have given you a short introduction of mine. Dear students, I would love it if you would like to give me something related to you, something like a short intro from your side. Your name, your hopes and aspirations, why you chose biology. Okay, these 3 things would be sufficient. You can write this in a chat box because this is our first class. We are interacting for the first time. I believe I should give you my short introduction that I have already done, and I need something from you in return. Okay. In this way, we can know each other better. I would be able to remember you by names also. Okay, so St. Joseph's College, Ukhrul, and Shillong students. I would like to, whatever you can write about yourself, okay, I would be happy with that. That's something to begin with. Until and unless I come to visit you in person, so up till that time, this will suffice. So, the centers, please also report your attendance. And whoever has access to the chat box, write your name and what you want to become. Okay, most probably you will want to become a doctor, but beyond that, if you have chosen something like you want to become a cardiologist, you have someone who is inspired by the medical background, so somebody might be guiding you, or you want to know something from me, I can help you in this regard. Okay. Okay, Shillong students, 14 students present. Great. Okay, so before we start, I want to give you a short introduction of the biology subject, what it represents and how big it is. Students, I have always noted that students who take maths are a bit more self-aware about what their career choices are. Okay, students in maths, they know very well that we have to take this subject. We have to proceed accordingly. We have to become an engineer, and probably they want to become a chemical engineer or a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer. Even some people take mathematics, statistics. Some people take ceramics. Some people take material design. There are a lot of fields. But in biology, we have something of a, I should say, a small gap, because normally we think of a biology field as only representing the field of doctors. Okay, that is not entirely the case. I would suggest that you study this field in some detail, and you will find that not only this, we have to cover a lot of things. Just for example, just a second. Okay. All right. So what happens is, biology, the most well appreciated thing in this field is the MBBS. Okay. Those who take MBBS, I would suggest that you go. MBBS is cleared by NEET examination. So NEET examination opens the pathway for clearing, for getting an MBBS degree or a BDS degree. Okay. So that is what NEET is all about. Okay. So you already know that some seats have increased due to the merging of AIMS examination with the NEET examination. Okay. So there have been some positive opportunities for you in the future. So I will look forward to guiding you in this regard. Anyway, MBBS is not just MBBS of any government college. There are some opportunities that I would like to highlight to you in this regard. One is this Armed Forces Medical College. Okay, I'm just giving this short introduction, although you must be already aware of it, but I'm doing it from my end. Okay, before we start our studying, I should give you some introduction in this regard. So Armed Forces Medical College, I would aspire all of you to take this very seriously, because whatever rank you get in your NEET examination, okay, you will be granted a slot in Armed Forces Medical College, and whether your rank is up or below, it doesn't matter too much, unless and until you clear the cutoff. Normally you will be called for an interview. Okay, Armed Forces Medical College, it is the military's institute for training doctors, but this is not an ordinary institute. The most positive aspect of this studying in this institute is you get a life in your army, and army's life, an officer's life, is beyond everybody's imagination. You know very well that an officer's life is something worth aspiring for. So Armed Forces Medical College, it also has a positive aspect that all your cost of becoming a doctor, it is borne by the government and by the military. And from the day one, you will get your salary. Okay. So in about 2-3 months, you can buy your own iPhone, right? So one more thing regarding to that. More than that, because you want to get selected in the Armed Forces Medical College, there will be a physical examination. You must have a proper sharp eyesight, and more than that, you must have a good physique. The people from the Northeast, you know very well, you have a very vigorous life, and because of this, the maximum people who get admitted into the armed forces are from the Northeast or are from the North India's hilly parts. Okay, so you have a very good opportunity to get selected once you clear the NEET examination. So please set your sights on this examination also. You will have to fill a separate form for Armed Forces Medical College. Besides the NEET examinations notification that is passed form, you will have to fill a separate form for this Armed Forces Medical College. Okay, so that comes in February. So you can ask me regarding this whenever you have the chance. Then there is the BDS. You know this very well. BDS is for Bachelor in Dental Surgery. So dental field is also very good. recently there have been few advancements like cosmetic dental surgery, okay, and cosmetics have a lot of application for BDS students. The reason is, anyway, down the line, you must have seen selfies of lots of film stars, Hollywood movie stars, Bollywood movie stars. I don't know much of Bollywood movie stars because I don't watch them, but you must have seen Korean dramas and anime, sorry, not anime, Korean dramas and the Hollywood movie stars. Everybody has a perfect smile, and that smile is because they have a perfect teeth line, which is due to the cosmetic dental surgery. Okay, so being in this field allows you to the opportunity to work with celebrities. If you have a degree from a good medical college, probably you can get yourself in touch with some celebrities medical team. Okay, and that's a great opportunity for you also. You will get to travel a lot. You will get to go to these to a lot of places around the world. So this is for travelers who want to travel around the world, right? Along with this NEET examination, there are a few other opportunities also based in research. Those who want to become a research scientist. So in research field, you can do BSc in agriculture, BSc in agriculture. And BSc Agriculture is different from other BSc because there are very few institutes in India which offer BSc in Agriculture. This examination you can clear only if you are preparing seriously for the NEET examination. Okay, this is a separate examination from the NEET examination. And BSc Agriculture, everybody has heard about the Green Revolution, right? Green Revolution, everybody knows. So Dr. M.S. Swaminathan was the father of Green Revolution, and he was BSc, MSc and PhD in agriculture. Okay, so he was a senior scientist. His degree started from BSc Agriculture. So India has a lot of opportunities for BSc Agriculture students because institutes are less. The competition is not so much because more people are going into this field. Everybody knows about NEET, very few people know how wonderful this opportunity is. Okay. So I have a few students studying in some great institutes of agriculture, like Pantnagar Institute of Agriculture. So it's a world-renowned institute, a well-recognized institute, recognized by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan also. So these institutes, BSc Agriculture, you can do MSc Agriculture, and then you can become a junior research fellow or a junior scientist, and you will get a government job. Okay. So this is a field for those people who are interested in research, who are not interested in MBBS. Okay. And there are other fields also. You can get BSc in forensics, microbiology, okay, and besides microbiology, there is a field of for people who are interested in toxicology. Okay, but these are specialized fields. You should only go for these fields if you have a lot of support from your family. Okay, because this requires patience and the number of seats is very less. However, there are some exciting opportunities like some people can also go for, if you don't want to go for research and you want to, you love a lot of animals, you have a intrinsic love for pets, you can do Bachelor in Veterinary Sciences. You can this is also a separate exam than NEET, and for appearing in this examination you must have a preparation equivalent for the NEET examination. You will become a veterinary surgeon after the graduation degree. Look, the path of MBBS is something like you must first do the MBBS degree, then you must get a post-graduation degree like a Masters in Surgery or Masters in Medicine, MD or MS. Then only you will be qualified to perform some operations or prescribe medicines to patients. But if you do BSc in Bachelor in Veterinary Sciences, just a bachelor's degree of about 4.5 or 5 years, you can easily operate on patients. Your patients will be, of course, pets, dogs, cats, etc. And there is less risk in this field because a patient's life is more valuable, human life is more valuable considerably. And a pet life is also valuable, but it will carry less amount of danger if something goes wrong. So Bachelor in Veterinary Sciences is quite a compact degree. People normally go for working just after completing the bachelor's degree. And it's a comfortable life for people because some people who do not want to work so hard but still have a love for biology field, they can opt for this thing, okay? And besides this, there are other opportunities also, but for all the other fields and these fields as well, first of all, you must have a solid preparation of the NEET examination. Then only you will be able to clear these examinations. So we will start today from the basics of biology, okay? And first of all, I must give you an introduction what you are going to study in your 2-year course, 11th and 12th, okay? So let's start about the introduction to biology and what it really means. So when we talk about biology, first of all, we study about the living organisms. Living organism. So when we talk about the living organisms, we must understand what are the properties of living beings. Okay. So the first chapter in your course is living world. That I am going to take up today. Living world. Why do we study this chapter? Because there are about countless organisms in the world. Every organism that we consider as living, we must understand the properties related to these living organisms, right? So when we want to study the properties of these living organisms, we adopt a scientific approach and we study them here. Now, after we have done this, the next question comes, what about the total number of organisms in the world? Okay, so that number is 1.7 to 1.8 million organisms. Now, you can easily remember the number of students in your class. Okay, you can easily remember the names of the students in your class. For example, Shillong, you have 14 students in your class. I am very well sure that you know the name and character of each and every one that is present in your class, right? But the thing is, if I talk about the whole school in which you are sitting, do you remember the names of each and every one? No. So the thing is, maybe you do not remember the names of each and every student in their school, but you remember the categories to which they belong to. Okay, you remember the categories to which the people belong to. So what you will do is, we make some categories, we give them some nicknames, and normally these nicknames are so popular that everybody who is addressed by some nickname, that nickname can be easily used to identify the properties of that kind of person. So scientists also give nicknames to organisms, and this nickname giving process is called classification or taxonomy. And the only thing is here, we do not want to make fun of living things. We adopt a scientific neutral approach and we give some names to the categories also. Okay, and these categories will be used universally throughout the world for naming plants also, for naming animals also. This makes, what is the purpose of namings and nicknaming and giving the categories? It makes the process of identifying and characterizing individuals easy. Okay, we can easily identify in the school, we know that this person is like this. This person likes to give a lot of parties. This person likes to play a lot. This person is quite serious. This person is not worth talking to. Okay, he is of the sticky people type. He is of the weird type. We make a lot of categories according to our interest, right? So all these categories have some sort of benefit. That is why we are using them. So that categorization process in biology, it is called classification. Now suppose a new person walks into your class. Okay, so if you have a new person or a new organism walks into your class, okay, I will use the word organism. So the thing is, first of all, you will judge him on the basis of outer characters. Okay, so outer characters, in this same way, we judge the plants and animals first on their outer external appearance. That is called morphology. So first we will study morphology of plants, then we will study the morphology of animals. Then we will want to know about that organism. So that includes the internal feelings, internal structures. So the thing is, next comes the anatomy. Anatomy means the internal structure of plants first, internal structure of animals later. Now question you might ask is, why do we study of plants and animals only? Look, there are 5 categories in classification. Okay, 5 main categories of classification of kingdom. Okay, we study kingdom only because all the other categories are huge. Kingdom is the largest category, so it is easy to remember organisms according to their kingdoms. 5 kingdoms are there which are there in your course. These kingdoms are Monera, Protista, fungi, plants and animals. Monera, Protista, fungi will be studied in detail by those people who will take BSc. In that, there is a detailed analysis and discussion of all these 3 kingdoms. But for your purpose, only plant and animal kingdom is sufficient. We are going to study in detail about plant and animal kingdom only. That is the botany and zoology part. So first of all, morphology, plants will be done. Then morphology of animals, then anatomy of plants, then anatomy of animals. Then the question comes, you want to analyze the internal structure of the, even you want to go deeper. Suppose you want to come to know through an organism. So you know some things about them, but you have a curiosity to know, go even deeper. Okay. So when you go deeper, the thing is, what do you encounter? You encounter the most basic things of his character. Similarly, we will discuss the most basic building block of plants and animals, and that building block is cell. So then we will encounter cell, then we will study the behavior of cell, okay, and the cell division also. Cell division means the how one cell gives rise to another cell. Then comes the, after cell and cell division comes the behavior of cells, and that is the photosynthesis, plant physiology part. Behavior of plant cells first, that means photosynthesis, respiration, mineral nutrition, transport in plants, so many things, osmosis also. Then after that we will study in class 11th the behavior of animal cells with respect to each other, that means animal physiology. Excretory system, respiratory system, circulatory system, digestive system, okay, all the human systems. There are 6 systems. This is your class 11th syllabus, and class 11th syllabus is larger comparison to class 12th. Class 12th syllabus will start with reproduction in organisms, because one human system except reproduction, every human system is discussed in plant physiology and animal physiology in class 11th. So reproduction in plants first, then reproduction in humans, then we come on to the genetics, biotechnology, because then we even go deeper, and going deeper into the cell means going deeper into the nucleus. Nucleus means DNA. Then biotechnology, and the last part is ecology. Okay, so this is your total syllabus that you are going to study in class 11th and class 12th. Okay, and today what I am going to start is the chapter called, the first part, the basic of biology, that is the living world. So please put the heading, living world. The living world. The living world. So I have already told you that what we are interested in doing here is studying the properties of living organisms. We are interested in studying the properties of living organisms. Okay, we will go stepwise slowly, but first of all we need to study in detail that what are the properties of living organisms. So can you tell me by yourself what properties can be attributed, can be used to denote living organism according to your understanding? Can you name some properties of the living organisms which can be attributed to life? What are these properties on the basis of which you can say that this thing is a living thing? I hope you get my point. Shillong and Ukhrul students, please answer. Whatever you think of. If you are wrong, I'll correct you. Okay? They respire, very good. They respire. Anything else? They respire, they move. Try to think of more things. Yeah, movement, respiration, movement. More. I want more. Try to think of some unique things. Can you think of some unique things also? Okay, I got the idea. You know the things. Let me put these things in a concrete form. Living organisms show some properties, such as, number one is growth. Second property, living organisms show growth. Okay. Second property that you must understand is reproduction. Living organisms can reproduce. Third property, you are mentioning movement, respiration. I can also say excretion, circulation. Okay. All these properties can be grouped into a single property of the cell. It is called metabolism. So the third property, which includes movement, walking, running, respiration, everything, digestion, absorption, everything. Everything is included in the activity of cell called metabolism. Fourth property is consciousness. Okay, living organisms are conscious also. I will discuss all these properties in great detail, don't worry about it. First is growth. Students, regarding whatever you want to say, please don't be shy with me. I understand that you have some restrictions, some inhibitions of your own, but please don't be very shy. Please interact freely with me. I never mind a quick joke also. So if you want to joke, if you want to share some funny things also, you can do that in full freedom in my class. Okay, just don't talk too much among yourselves. Okay, I can see you. I would appreciate some things to be in discipline, but I'm not too rigid. Okay, so I hope you understand my feelings. All right. So whatever you have to say, you have to ask something. Please never be shy in front of me. Anyway, so I hope you can do this. All right. Now please define, what do you understand by growth? What is your basic understanding of the growth process? Everybody sees advertisements on the TV like Horlicks and Complan and Milo and so many things, right? I think you must know about Protein X, Threptin, Milo, Complan, and I think Bonvita. Yeah, Bonvita also. Horlicks has come in so many packaging also. And then there is Patanjali, I think it's called Ojasvita. So there are numerous health drinks and all that. Okay, particularly they are targeted at growing children. But I can tell you that growing children don't need so many extra things. They still get a lot of nutrition from their food only. So anyway, what do you understand by growth? What do you understand by growth? What can be the definition of growth according to you? Is it just the increase in length? Is growth just increase in length? Or is it something else? Increase in volume maybe? Or there is something else also? How do you define growth? Nobody. That's surprising. I expect a lot. Please don't worry. I am here for you. Okay. Look, growth is something which is expected to show an increase in mass. Whenever something is growing, if it is growing, it will definitely register an increase in the mass of cells. The cellular mass will increase. So you can say, yeah, okay, Jens and Josephs has answered. It is defined as an increase in size and shape. Well, size and shape, it's okay, but it's not the precise definition. It's very good that you are asking me this. Look, St. Joseph's, size and shape is not the correct definition of growth. It might be indicative of growth, but it's not the correct definition. Growth cannot be defined until and unless there is an increase in mass. Then only growth can happen. If mass is not increasing, growth cannot happen. If size is increasing, for example, a balloon is expanding, but there is no increase in mass, suppose, then it is not growth. Something is expanding, but there is no change in the mass of that substance, it is not growth. Okay, that is not growth. So please, you can write. Growth is simply defined as increase in mass. Growth is simply defined as increase in mass. Increase in mass is defined as growth. All right. So whenever there will be an increase in mass, you can say that thing is growing. Okay. The next thing that I want to tell you now, growth occurs in both living as well as non-living objects. Growth occurs in both living as well as non-living objects. As well as non-living objects. Okay? Growth occurs in both living as well as non-living objects. Can you give me any examples of growth in non-living objects? Can you give me any examples of growth in non-living objects? Yes? Any example in non-living objects? For example, your class has a wooden door. Your class has a wooden door. And if that wooden door is touching the floor of your class, you must understand that that this is the rainy season. And in rainy season, the wooden doors in your home also, if they do not have a wide gap between the floor and the door, there will always be a difficulty in opening and closing that door. Have you seen it? Yes or no? Wooden doors everybody has in their homes. So when you open that door, okay, you can see that in this rainy season, in this humid season, there is a problem that wood is going to swell, increase in mass, and it touches the floor of the room. So when it is going to touch the floor of the room, it is going to make a sound always. So how many people of you have such doors in your room, at your home or anywhere? Just raise your hands. Okay, nobody has these doors. So you must have a wide gap between the door and the bottom of the door and the floor, right? Okay, I'll assume that it is so. So, but I have this door at my home, and it always makes a sound when I open it in the rainy season. But after the rainy season is gone, in the summers or in the winters, when there is no humidity in the air, at that point of time, the wood will return to its original shape. The wood will return to its original shape because the water absorbed will now be lost to the atmosphere. Okay. So there is a basic difference between growth in living objects, living organisms, and non-living objects. What is that difference? Can you highlight it? I've already given you a hint. Okay, somebody has this kind of door. All right. Can you highlight the difference using the information that I have given you between living and non-living objects? Okay. If if you are not going to answer, I am going to answer it for you, don't worry. You can say, look, growth in non-living objects is reversible. Growth in non-living objects is reversible. By reversible, I mean that it can be always changed back. It can be always changed back to when it was in the original state. It can always go back to that state. So this is the reversible growth. Reversible growth. Okay. And in the case of living objects, living organisms, the growth is of which type? Can you ever go back to the time when you were in nursery class? Look, our parents had a lot of expectations for us that they always, look, Indian parents are the same always. Whether it's North India or Northeast or anywhere, Indian parents are always the same. They always tell us that just pass this class, 5th class, and all your troubles will be over. You will get to study less, your bag will become less heavier as you move to the next class. Then there was an imposition that just pass the class 10th board exam, which was a very difficult thing for you at that time. It must have been. You had to study a lot, and then things should become easier. Now you will get motivation from your parents that just get into a medical college and then everything will be easier. Everything will become easier. So does it become easy? Does it really become easy? Yes or no? Does it become easy for you? Is it easier for you to study in class 11 than it was in class 10th? How many people think the opposite? Nobody? Okay, maybe you have some different opinion. The thing is, however you can put it, you can never go back to the juvenile stage. You can never go back to that time when you were 12 years of age, 13 years of age. Okay, no living organism can do that. There is no living organism that can do this kind of thing. Okay, so this is called the irreversibility of growth in living organisms. So you can write here, however, growth in living organisms is irreversible. Growth in living organisms is irreversible. Okay, living organisms can never go back to that previous phase. All right. So this is the thing about living and non-living. Now the next important thing is, there is another difference in the growth of living and non-living, and this difference is like this. Look, living organisms show a growth which is internal in nature. Non-living objects show a growth which is external in nature. External things are added from the outside. Number of cells is not increasing in the growth of the non-living objects, but number of cells is increasing in the growth of living organisms. The number of cells have increased. Compared to a 2-year-old child, the number of cells in your body is more. Exactly right? So the thing is, the growth in living organisms is intrinsic. Is intrinsic. While the growth in non-living objects is extrinsic. While the growth in non-living is extrinsic. Okay. This is the basic difference between growth in living versus growth in non-living. Right? So let's move on. Okay, you have written this. So after growth, next property is reproduction. Reproduction. So how do you define reproduction? How do you define reproduction process? Anybody? What is reproduction? What do you mean by reproduction? Try to answer according to whatever you know. Try to answer whatever you know. Okay. So please tell me about this. Giving rise to, okay, our students' attendance is 1. Okay, St. Joseph's, I thank you for your attendance. All right. So Shillong students, you are saying that giving rise to offsprings. Yes. Giving rise to offsprings is fine. Look, the thing is, yeah, your definition is good, but I want a more complete definition. Look, for defining the process of reproduction, we must first define a term called the species. Okay. So reproduction actually means a species tries to produce new individuals which resemble itself. Okay. Either single organism is involved, that is asexual reproduction, or 2 organisms are involved, that is 2 parents are involved. So that is sexual reproduction. So reproduction is a process by which an organism makes similar or exactly similar copies of individuals like itself. Okay, giving rise to offsprings is fine. Now, one species of organisms will normally produce organisms which are similar to it. Okay, which are similar to it. So, can you also define the term called the species? How do you define a species? How do you define a species? Okay, yeah, reproduction definition is fine. You understand the idea that reproduction means giving rise to offsprings. Okay, yeah, that is fine. I'll also write the definition. Reproduction is a process. Reproduction is a process by which individuals produce similar or exactly similar individuals of same species. Now, there is an exception to this definition also. Look, biology is the science of exceptions. When you are taking biology, it means you have to study a lot of exceptions. Okay, so in every definition of biology, there will be an exception by a rule. Okay, so you can always ask me, sir, what is the exception to this? What is the exception to this? You can keep on asking me, and I can keep on giving the exceptions. The whole book of NCERT is filled with exceptions, right? So we'll keep on doing this a lot of times in your classes. We're studying a lot of exceptions. I'll tell you the exception to this definition also. So now, can anyone define to me what is the definition of species? What is the definition of species? Anybody? How do you define a species? No idea. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Shillong students have answered in exactly the correct way that I had expected. Species is a group of living organisms capable of interbreeding or exchange of genes. Very good. Yeah. I'm not sure if you have done this from the Wikipedia, okay, or by yourself, but if you have done it by yourself, then I'm very pleased with you. Actually, this is the exact definition that is given in the Wikipedia, but that works for me. It's okay. Maybe you know it by yourself, and I'm very happy that you know it by yourself. I'll assume that you know it by yourself. The thing is, this definition was actually given by Ernest Mayr and Haeckel. Okay, they were some scientists who had given this definition, that species is a group of individuals which can freely interbreed among themselves. For example, you see a lot of varieties of dogs. Okay, you can see a Labrador, you can see a Pomeranian, you can see the local Indian, and then there is the Golden Retriever, then there is the German Shepherd, okay, and there are countless varieties. There is a Chihuahua, but what is the common thing that connects all the dogs together? That is interbreeding. One species of dogs can be interbred with the another. You can say that there might be a difference in size. For example, Pomeranian is a very small dog, okay, and Husky, the Game of Thrones type, or Alaskan Malamute, okay, they are huge dogs. They are really huge. They look like small bears, okay. Even they can reproduce together, okay. In fact, the cross between a Pomeranian dog and a Husky dog is called a Pomsky. It's a cute fox kind of creature, and it never grows in size. It always remains small and looks like a puppy throughout its life. So it's quite a cute dog. So the thing is, all species can reproduce freely among themselves. So everything that you can see, all dogs that you can see, you can instantly recognize that this is a dog. If somebody walks with a poodle also, you can still recognize that this is a dog variety. It's a subspecies or a variety of dog. And how you can verify it? You can verify it by interbreeding. All species of dogs, all subspecies of dogs can freely interbreed with themselves. So this is the definition of species. A species is a group of individuals which can freely interbreed with one another, and a Shillong student has also added to this definition in a very good way. He has said that a species is a group of individuals which can freely exchange genes among themselves. It's the correct, precise definition. Now my question to you is, you have defined reproduction, okay? You can also write reproduction is of two types, asexual and sexual. Reproduction is of two types, asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual and sexual reproduction. Okay, so this is reproduction. Now please tell me, are non-living first of all, are non-living organisms capable of reproduction? Are non-living organisms capable of reproduction, yes or no? Non-living objects, are they capable of reproduction? If you keep an iPhone in a secret safe, will it become double by itself? It won't, right? If you keep a lot of money and if you want it to double by itself, it won't. Okay, so non-living objects cannot reproduce. No, non-living objects, please try to remember this, cannot reproduce. We will say non-living objects, non-living cannot, okay, it's perfectly fine. So in Joseph's, cannot reproduce. However, living organisms can reproduce. But my question to you again is, can all living organisms reproduce? Yes or no? Can all living organisms, can they reproduce? Yes or no? Now my question has changed. Can all living organisms reproduce or not? That is my question to you. It is a simple question. Look, please don't never be shy of answering a wrong question, okay? Everybody learns. If you want to study biology or if you want to study anything in your life, never be ashamed of yourself. Never be ashamed of your opinions in science, okay? You will always grow in this way. That's the only way of growing and learning in science. You must commit mistakes and you must learn from them. Okay? So I'm asking you, can all living organisms reproduce? Yes or no? If you say yes and it is wrong, I'm fine with it. If you say no and it is wrong, I'm fine with it. I'll explain the answer. So just answer whatever you know. Shillong students, please try to answer. You are very much okay. Can all living organisms reproduce? No. Okay, Shillong is saying no and St. Joseph's is saying yes. I'll assume that's the opinion of the whole class. So Shillong students are actually right. Not all living organisms can reproduce. There are a variety of reasons for that. Everybody must have heard of sterile human couples, people who cannot reproduce. It may be due to the low sperm count of the male. It may be due to the immotile sperms of the male. It may be due to the blockage of fallopian tubes of the female. It may be due to the ovary disease or blockage of ovaries in the case of female. There can be faults on both sides. Then there are some animals we have to learn because they cannot reproduce by themselves. Okay, so there are some conditions regarding that. We'll study them. Okay, so first of all we will see this. Non-living organisms cannot reproduce, but also not all living organisms can reproduce. Not all living organisms are capable of reproduction. Not every living organism will reproduce. Okay? Not all living organisms are capable of reproduction. Examples we have to learn. Sterile human couples, sterile human couples. Anything else? Mules and worker honeybees. Worker honeybees. Worker honeybees are sterile females. Sterile females. They cannot reproduce. Mules, etc. Sterile human couples we already know. Okay, there is no need to explain. Now, why does worker honeybee not reproduce? Worker honeybee. Can anybody explain to me why worker honeybee cannot reproduce? Cannot reproduce. Okay, yeah. So it's 5 o'clock, and I think you should take a 5 or 10-minute break. Okay. So take a 5 or 10-minute break. It's 5 o'clock. I don't want to be excessive torturous on you. So take a 5-10-minute break. Okay, and then we'll resume from where we are leaving this topic. Okay. So please come back quickly. Don't waste too much of time. I'll be back at 5 in 5-10 minutes. Okay. So I'll be keeping watching you. Just please take a quick short break. Okay, so we are back now. So starting where we left off, I'd ask you about worker honeybee. So does anybody know why worker honeybees are sterile? It's actually a female and it is sterile. Anybody knows the reason? Okay. So look, what happens is, in the case of honeybees, the queen lays two types of eggs. Okay. The queen lays two types of eggs. One is the fertilized egg, other is the unfertilized egg. Two types of eggs are there. Unfertilized eggs will grow into male drones. It is called, a phenomena is called parthenogenesis. We will study this later, but this phenomenon is called parthenogenesis. Unfertilized eggs means half chromosome containing eggs. They will grow into male honeybees called drones. The fertilized eggs can develop into queen also. Queen is fertile female, and they can also be converted into workers. It all depends upon the type of nutrition they will receive. If they receive highly nutritious food, these larvae, they will grow into queen honeybee. But if it receives less nutrition food, it will develop into a female, no doubt, but it will not be sexually mature. This is the worker honeybee. So worker honeybees feed the larvae two types of food. If the worker is feeding the new larvae very nutritious food, it will go in, she will grow into a female. And if she is being fed normal food, nutritionless food, then she will be able to grow into sexually immature, sterile female called worker. Sterile females developing from developing from egg laid by queen honeybee. Okay, developing from diploid egg. Then there is a very important example which has been asked in your board examinations and in your NEET examinations. So, okay, in the school examination, in the home examinations, this is a very common question. How is a mule produced? How is a mule produced, or what is a mule? So everybody has seen that there are some horses which are of short height. These are called ponies. Now there is an animal which is neither a donkey, neither a donkey, and it is not also a horse either. Okay. It's a cross between a donkey and a horse. Okay. This animal is called a mule. But the question is, which is male, which is female? So please write, it is a sterile interspecific hybrid. Interspecific hybrid. Sterile interspecific hybrid means this is the exception to the definition of species. Species is a group of individuals which can freely exchange genes or genetic information, or they can interbreed among themselves. It is a cross between a horse and a donkey. Horses and donkeys do not reproduce with each other. It's not normal. We have forced them to perform reproduction with each other. It's a cross between, it is a cross between male donkey and female horse. It's a cross between a male donkey and a female horse. Will the reverse will also be true? If I cross a female donkey with a male horse, will I also get a mule in that case? Yes or no? if I reverse the case, if I cross a female donkey with a male horse, will they give me the result of mule only, or will I get anything else? Come on, you can guess easily. Yes or no? No idea. You will not get a mule. You will get a different species. It's called a hinny. Okay. Look, mule is the brainchild of some people who thought that we require a work animal which has both the properties of horses and donkeys. Look, horse has a lot of energy. Horse has a lot of power. Okay. But the thing is, horses are impatient. Horses are quite impatient, and it is a huge diet also. And there are some places where horses are not so much suited. We require a smaller animal which can go over a large distance also, and can cross mountains also, hills also, and tricky passes, tricky hilly areas. So somebody thought that we need an animal which has the stamina of a horse and the patience of a donkey, because donkeys are very patient animals. They will not protest too much against heavy work also. Unless and until it is going to die, it will not protest. It's a very patient animal, very docile. Even children can handle him very easily. So somebody thought that we should cross a horse with a donkey. Okay. So one person got a mule, other person got a hinny. Hinnies are not useful, mules are useful. Hinnies are not useful. Okay, mules are useful. So all the animals that you have seen in your hilly areas, which are used for carrying heavy loads, like you know, a lot of things are that, like construction material, heavy goods, and so many articles of food and of clothing and vegetables and so on. They are normally carried on the back of mules. Okay. Even in the Kargil war with Pakistan, the thing was there were some events, like there was NDTV people, Barkha Dutt and so many people. They used to tell the people of Pakistan and India, everybody in the world, that look, our army is standing here and they are firing over the Pakistani soldiers. So it was a huge problem for Indian army at that time. And what they did was they quickly packed the Bofors artillery on the backs of mules. Bofors is a very heavy artillery gun. Okay, it's an artillery gun and it's very heavy. So mules used to carry it on tricky parts of hills where the media people could not reach. It's such a tricky area, media people cannot reach there. And there they put their artillery guns, and the mules helped in doing it. So that is how we won this war. Mules played an important role in winning the war of 1996, Kargil war. So mule is such a hardy animal. Places where other animals cannot survive, mule can survive easily. So it's a cross between a male donkey and a female horse. So it's an interspecific hybrid. Now question has been asked in the NEET examination, why is a mule sterile? Okay, question has been asked, mule is sterile due to. There are male mules, there are female mules also. So why cannot a male mule fertilize a female mule? The reason is male mules have immotile sperms. These sperms are immotile and they cannot undergo fertilization. So whenever we want to make a mule, we have to keep a male donkey and a female horse when the female horse is in her heat period, when she is more sexually receptive. Look, animals have a sexual receptive period in which they can reproduce easily. At other times of the year, they will not reproduce. They will protest against any such act. But at some parts of the year, there is a specific time for each animal, and at that time it is sexually receptive. Females are sexually receptive. That happens in case of nearly all animals. Tigers, lions, bears, leopards, so many animals. So at that time we can keep them together. So whenever we have to make a mule, we can only keep a mule, make a mule by keeping a female horse in her heat period together with a male donkey. Then only they will reproduce, otherwise they will not reproduce. Due to male mules, answer is male mules have immotile sperms and cannot reproduce. Is having immotile sperms. Immotile sperms, and hence cannot undergo reproduction. Cannot undergo reproduction. Okay. So this is why this is happening like that. Okay. So this is the story of mule. There are other animals also. Please write. Hinni. Hinni is a cross between the reverse cross. First of all, please write some interspecific hybrids. Interspecific hybrids. Hybrids that are prepared by crossing one species with other. These are exceptions of species definition. So we have to write 3 examples here. Hinni, liger, and tigon. Okay. Male donkey, female horse is mule. So Hinni is male horse with female donkey. Female donkeys. This gives a Hinni. What is a liger? Liger, anybody? Does anybody know what a liger is? Ligers and tigons are usually kept in circuses. Not in India, but in Western countries and European countries. Particularly in Russia, they like keeping ligers and tigons in their circuses. That's the only place you can see a circus. European Union does not have any circuses, but only American people still have some circuses running today, and Russia only. Otherwise, circuses are also not seen in India also. So, ligers. What is a liger? It sounds something between a lion and tiger, right? So, it's a cross between a male lion. This is the symbol of male crossed with female tiger in her heat period. In a heat period, you can cross them together, you will get a liger. Alright. So it's a cross between a male lion and a female tiger. Alright. Tigon is a cross between a male tiger and female lion. You can Google these images. A tiger crossed with a lion. You can get some images for liger and tigon. I can show them to you, of course, in the next class maybe. So you can see that this animal looks very different from original lion and tiger. Okay, it is a mixture of the two. You cannot identify it as a lion also. You cannot identify as a tiger also. It has a mixture. Okay. Now, of course, you will if you search on the Google, you will also get some photoshopped images. In these photoshopped images, these are not crosses. I saw some funny images on the internet. So I was trying to show them to children, and what they did was they showed me some photoshopped images. So that is not liger tigon. What they did was by Photoshop they cut the face of a lion and stuck it over the body of a tiger. That is not a liger or a tigon. That does not happen. Okay. So another interesting thing regarding liger and tigon is these are very large animals and they behave like overgrown cats. They are very easy to domesticate. If you take a stick and try to beat them or scare them away, they will easily become scared. So they just behave like cats, and they are very easy to domesticate. They are very easy to take care of, and they are not aggressive. Nobody knows the reason why they are not aggressive, but they are very different. Okay. So liger, tigon, hinny, and mule also interspecific hybrids. Interspecific hybrids. 4 interspecific hybrids we have studied today. These are exception to the normal definition of species. In species definition, we said 2 organisms must belong to the same species, then only they can reproduce. But now you can see organisms are belonging to different species, yet also they are reproducing. Okay, so this is about reproduction, the main part. Now there is another thing that we have to do, the relationship between growth and reproduction. We have to complete the relationship between growth and reproduction. So there is a relationship. Growth and reproduction are mutually inclusive properties in unicellular organisms. What does it mean? It means that in unicellular organisms, whenever growth is happening, reproduction will also happen at the same time. Both the things will happen together. Reproduction means growth, growth means reproduction. That means inclusive properties. Please underline this. This has been an assertion and reason statement in AIMS examination. Mutually inclusive properties. And in multicellular organisms, the case is reversed. Growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive properties in multicellular organisms. In multicellular organisms. Okay? Growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive properties in multicellular organisms. What does this statement mean? Look, when you were about 11 years of age or 12 years of age and your height was growing rapidly, okay? Do you remember that time when you were in about class 5th or 6th and your height was growing rapidly? Okay, just before puberty, your height was growing rapidly. Your relatives must have been so envious of you. They must have been keeping a close watch on you. Okay, you have become so much tall. Now you're even taller than me. Now you will be even taller than my children. Okay, a lot of things happen, right? So our relatives are the people that care the most about ourselves, right? There is a lot of envy. Even now in that you are in class 11th and 12th, there is a lot of competition between cousins and your neighbors. Everybody is comparing you, that why you studying and why you studying in a coaching. They will be envious of your studies also, small achievements. But at that time, when you had just been before your puberty, your height was increasing, you must have noticed that your height is increasing at a rapid rate. But suddenly after puberty, height growth and all the other things, they have become considerably lesser. Okay. In multicellular organisms, when growth is happening, reproduction will not happen. And when reproduction process starts, growth starts to slow down. your height will increase maximum. Your height is still increasing, but it is now slowing down, and it will completely stop when you reach the age of 19 or 20 years. Okay. Up till that time, you will undergo small amount of growth, but the time for your maximum growth is now over. Okay. Maximum growth period was just before the puberty time. So this is called exclusive property. When growth is happening, reproduction will not happen. When reproduction is happening, growth will not happen. Growth will stop. Okay. This is also having some exceptions. Exception is plants. Plants show indefinite growth. Trees, they all there are some perennial trees. So when they grow, they will still undergo flowering, etc. Flowering, fruiting, so many things. They will still continue to grow year after year. So exception is plants. Plants show indefinite growth, most plants. So you can say biology is the science of exceptions. Plants are exception to this. They show indefinite growth. They show indefinite growth. Okay. Another interesting point. What will happen if somebody does not show puberty at all, or somebody shows a very late puberty? What will happen in that case? Okay, let me express my question in this form. What will happen if some person does not undergo puberty at all? What will happen to the growth of such a person? Can you think about this? What will happen if a person does not undergo puberty at all? There is no reproductive phase in the person's life. What will happen to the growth of such a person? Can you guess? Nobody. At least try to guess something. I have given you a hint. I'm waiting for your chats, or whatever you reply. Okay. At least tell me, have you seen people who appear at weddings and any celebratory event? And I'm talking about the eunuchs, the sexually immature, the people who are incapable of sexual reproduction. I'm talking about the eunuchs. About in Hindi we call them chakkas. You know about them, right? Everybody knows about people who cannot reproduce, the people who dance and come in celebratory parties and so many things. The neutral gender, the transgender people. Come on, at least you say that you know about them, right? Has anybody seen a transgender person who is short in height? Dwarf people, dwarf transgenders. Has anybody seen dwarf transgenders at all? There are no dwarf transgenders. Why? Because they do not have a reproductive phase in their life. Because they do not have a reproductive phase in their life, they will show indefinite growth. Up to 30, 40 years, their height will keep on increasing. Do you understand the importance of this point? If growth is happening, reproduction will not happen. But if reproductive phase is not coming in their life, they will show indefinite growth. So you see the transgender people, they are huge, they are tall, very tall people, right? So the transgenders, they are normally very tall in height. This is because they do not have a reproductive phase in their life. So normally the older transgenders, whoever you see, 30, 40 age, they will be very tall in height. Okay, and if you see a shorter transgender person, they might be younger in age. They might be between 20 to 30 years of age. Okay, and their height will keep on increasing to a large extent up to 40 years of age, up to, about 40 years of age, they will still undergo some growth, continuous growth. Okay, so that's an interesting thing that I just wanted to share with you. Okay, So these points are important for exams. Growth and reproduction are mutually inclusive properties in unicellular, but they are mutually exclusive properties in multicellular organisms. Okay? So let's continue. Third point, metabolism. 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 How do you define metabolism? How do you define metabolism? Anybody? How do you define metabolism? No one? Look, metabolism is the sum total of all the chemical reactions which are either destructive type or constructive type, sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring within the boundary of the cell membrane or within the cell. Please write this definition. Metabolism is the sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring within the boundary of cell membrane. Okay. So whatever chemical reaction is occurring within the boundary of cell membrane, it is a living reaction or a metabolic reaction. Okay. Now my question to you is, does metabolism occur in non-living organisms? Does metabolism occur in non-living organisms? Yes or no? Does metabolism occur in non-living organisms? Yes? Non-living objects do not show metabolism. If a person is dead, the breathing will stop. The metabolic reactions will stop. Non-living objects will not show metabolism. That is how we check a person is living or dead. Please write. Please write this. Non-living objects do not show metabolism. Do not show metabolism. However, living organisms always show metabolism. If they are living, they will show metabolism. If they are living, they will show metabolism. And metabolism is of two types. Metabolism is of two types: constructive reaction and destructive reactions. Anabolism, simple objects are used to make complex objects. This is constructive reaction process. Catabolism, destructive. Okay. There are two types of chemical reactions of metabolism. Fourth property of living organisms, consciousness. Consciousness. What is consciousness? What is consciousness? Anybody? Take a fine pen which has a fine point, and point it at the elbow of your classmate who is sitting just in front of you, and make it sting. Okay, just make it sting. Your classmate will immediately respond and remove his hand in some other direction in which you are inflicting the pain upon your classmate. Okay, so the thing is, that is consciousness. Consciousness is the ability of an organism to show response to a stimulus. You took your pen and used it like a pin or a needle on your classmate, and he immediately responded by removing his hand or replying you with a sweet word, a nickname or something like that. Okay, he replied to you in some manner. Okay, and we all know how friends reply to us. Okay, and enemies reply with an even sweeter language. So the thing is, that is consciousness. Please write. Consciousness, it is the ability to show response towards a stimulus, Okay. Consciousness refers to the ability to show response towards a stimulus. Okay. All right. So please tell me, do living organisms show consciousness? Yes. Do non-living objects show consciousness? No. Living organisms show consciousness, while non-living do not show consciousness. Non-living do not show consciousness. Also, there is a term associated with consciousness called self-consciousness. Self-consciousness. Please write, most advanced form of consciousness is seen in humans only, called self-consciousness. Now, what is this self-consciousness? Let me give some examples to you. Suppose you take a glass slide. And put some amoeba organism on it. Okay. Now, if I take some drop of acid on it, glass slide is totally spread with amoeba. It has a water surface. I am spreading the amoeba over the whole surface like this. Okay. Now I put a drop of acid on one side. Amoeba will immediately escape to the other side. If I place it in a current, if I pass a small amount of current on this side, amoeba will escape to the other side. If I take a convex lens and focus the sunlight on this part, amoeba will escape to the other part. Now, if I take a piece of pizza and I put it here, I mean food, amoeba will come from that side to this side. So it shows negative responses and it shows positive responses as well. Both positive and negative responses amoeba is showing. So this is consciousness. But what is the difference between this consciousness? If you are striking your friend with a pen, he will show a negative response. Now, if you are offering a pizza, he will show a positive response. So what is the difference in the consciousness between you, a monkey, and an amoeba? What is the difference? A monkey will also show a positive response to a pizza. just like our friends will do, and even our enemies, I suppose. Everybody loves pizza, right? So what's the difference? What difference can you think of? Anybody? No. The difference is our consciousness is self-consciousness. A monkey shows consciousness which is related to the survival. Okay, but our consciousness goes beyond survival. Not just survival. We are fighting for identity. You are sitting in a coaching. You're sitting to fight for your seat in your PMT examination, in your NEET examination, in the pre-medical test. So that is self-consciousness. How many people out of you have seen a movie called The Planet of the Apes? Planet of the Apes, any part? How many people of you have seen Predator, Alien Species, or Planet of the Apes? Anybody has seen this movie? Planet of the Apes, it's a science fiction movie. I'm not sure if you have seen it or not. Yes or no? Okay, just if you haven't seen it, just watch the trailer of that movie. In that movie, monkeys become self-conscious. They form a society. They attack humans. They take weapons also. And they form a separate city, a civilization of monkeys itself. It's due to a mutation because of some experiments carried out by humans on monkeys. So they become mutated. And their brains become larger. And they become self-conscious. What is self-conscious? They develop a language of their own. They develop an identity of their own. Our place in society, monkeys in that movie also are having names. They have a separate identity and they fight for the identity of themselves and for the upliftment of their society. You are doing something, you are going to have a job tomorrow. You are going to have a place in the society tomorrow. You are going to have some reputation in that society. And that refers to your identity. What is your name? What is your identity? You are fighting for this identity to improve it, to better it, and that is called self-consciousness. You are also going to reflect on why am I here on this planet Earth? What is the meaning of this life? Monkeys don't think such things, right? They don't think such things. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, they don't think of such things. So, but if they did, they would be called self-conscious. Right now we don't have such information and we will assume that only humans are self-conscious. Even aliens on some other planet, they might be self-conscious. Okay, so that is the most advanced form of consciousness called self-consciousness. Okay, that is seen only in human beings, in you, me, and in all human beings. Right? So these are the 4 properties. I need to have a intense discussion regarding some properties called universal properties, defining properties also. Then we will be able to discuss viruses, coma patients, aliens, and so many things also. So I'll do this in the next class. Okay. So this is right now for this chapter right now. I have to complete a half part of this chapter in the next class whenever we get it. In next week probably. So I'll take it from there, but right now we have completed the 4 basic properties of all living beings. Okay. So I thank you, dear students. Thank you for your patience. I thank you for your time, and have a safe journey back home. Okay. And I'll see you in the next class. Thank you, dear students. See you in the next class. Thank you.